Hi, welcome back. So here we are inside the Tuesday folder. On this folder, we have the syllabus popping up again. Just be sure you're checking that out and understand the details that are involved with the course. Again, if you have any questions, let me know. So, part of today is basic, and I want to establish the fact Lone Star has expectations. So we do have a relationship between the high school and Lone Star. Again, as I said in the welcome video, the first one, you are college students in this classroom. Okay, so, and I also said that there's an expected higher rigor for the course. So, with that in mind, what's going to happen almost on a daily basis, not all the time, but much of the time, I will have a word of the day. And today's word of the day is rigor. Okay? So, what does rigor actually mean? Rigor is the act of being thoroughly accurate. It is increased expectations or quality. So the buzzword here, quality. You are under a higher expectation of work. This is the second DC course you have taken. So you know what to expect. Okay. So here, under the definition, I will always place a working example of the actual word from contemporary internet articles. And in this case, rigor is a result of work that challenges students' thinking in new and interesting ways. Short, sweet, and simple. Okay? So, the other important notion of key words, these are vocabulary that I need you to start using within the papers. Okay? Pay attention for when they're used in the text. Pay attention for opportunities where you can use them in your papers. This is added bonus towards your scores. Okay, you notice I'm going out of order. Okay. Now, an academic paragraph. If you had me in the past, you'd have heard me say this before. All paragraphs must have 5 or more sentences, especially if you're dealing with an academic situation. The logic here, you are defending a point of view. You are defending a thesis and your observations. As a result, you need more material to be clear on what your point is and how your point works. Instructors need to know the logic of the formula you've constructed in your head. And frankly, you can't do that in 3 sentences. Okay? So this is the logic of an MLA academic paragraph. So, you open up with a topic sentence. Nothing new there. You've known that since elementary. A topic sentence, which is a general comment. It lets the reader know the purpose of the paragraph. The next sentence is called a secondary evidence sentence. It clarifies the direction you're taking the topic. It confirms what the topic is about. Okay? It alleviates any questions that may exist about the topic. The third sentence starts the analysis. It's a more specific point. So whereas the topic sentence is general, each new sentence is more specific and more direct. And then as a result, you're strengthening your defense. Okay? So in sentence 3, where it says analysis, and it says reviews or clarifies critics' intentions, the word critic, that's referring to you. You as a critic are clarifying your topic further off the topic sentence. Okay? Now, if you look at the black lines here, that's a working example of a literary criticism discussing Edgar Allan Poe and Gothic horror fiction specifically. So you'll notice each new sentence is becoming more and more detailed about the direction this imaginary writer is taking the topic. Okay? Okay. Now, the 4th sentence is a quotation. You do count that this, your evidence itself, as one bit of information. So if you're quoting 3 or 4 sentences, that only counts as one. Do keep that in mind. So the quotation is giving a specific example of what you're talking about. So this quote here from Edgar Allan Poe is backing up this Gothic notion of protagonists and how they have illogical personality types in Gothic fiction specifically. Okay? Once you provide the quote or the paraphrase, once you provide the evidence, you have to review the evidence. You have to explain the evidence. You have to show how the evidence backs up the topic, especially in academic papers. So these aren't letters you're writing to your grandmother. These aren't editorials where you're expressing your opinion and just want to make a change in the community. These are analytical observations which have to be defended throughout the whole paper. Now, you notice at the very top, I said all paragraphs must have 5 or more sentences. In this example, I'm giving you a 6th sentence. So once you've given your review, you have to then close out the paragraph. You have to have a main point for the paragraph. This is acting as a transition to the next paragraph, the next topic. So, as I put here in gold, this deductive conclusion provides a specific affirmation of the critic's main point of emphasis. Again, the critic is you. What is your main point of emphasis? And in this case, examining Gothic horror fiction through an example of Edgar Allan Poe and the protagonist he uses. What is your point, your main point about these topics? What does all these sentences add up to confirm? And that is a successful academic paper paragraph. For all the assignments you do in this class, they will be based on academic paragraph process. Everything will have to have 5 or more sentences. There is a rare assignment coming up, and I will basically say this when it happens. I'll let you know in advance. But for the most part, all assignments will require 5 or more sentences. Okay, so that's the majority of what I wanted to cover today. You do have an assignment. It's about study habits. You're going to you're going to post a statement in your discussion board that I've set up. So where it says write a comment, you'll just write down your material here. All that is required in this assignment, okay, in a discussion board, you're posting a response to these two following questions. You want to be very specific with your replies, and as you'll see when I quickly go over the rubric, you'll understand the direction the assignment's going, tying into the academic paragraph notion. So, the first question, what changes do you need to make to your study habits for this unique year at Tomball? So in other words, what did not work last year? When we first went into quarantine and we were isolated from the school and social groups, what were you doing when you were studying that did not work? What do you need to fix? That's what number 1 is about. Number 2, what study habits will you maintain to keep momentum? So again, in other words, what worked last year? What helped you motivate and get papers created and finished for Nyman? What kept you focused? Okay. So those 2 simple questions, you are responding in an academic presentation. So down here, you'll be responding in an academic paragraph, at least 5 sentences or more. Now, on the grading scale, it's basically 100 points. Each of these 5 categories are 20. A perfect 100 is 20, 20, 20, 20. So when I'm grading these, it might end up, I'll go 20, 16, 14, 20, 20. It all depends on the notion of your work. Okay? So, presentation. It'll be an academic presentation. Your value claim, your thesis is clear. I understand the opinion and how you're backing your prompt. Your evidence will show synthesis to defend your argument. You'll blend points in order to make your point. In this particular case, you will not have outside research. So you'll conclude, what is your main point of this discussion? What do you want to provide the reading audience about your study habits? Okay. And finally, the perception. You're clearly expressing your opinion, your observations, and these back up your deductive point, which is supporting your evidence, which supports your value claim in your presentation of an academic paragraph. Okay? Very good. Now, if you do develop any questions and you need to talk to me about anything, remember to go back to the opening of Unit 1, and there's the Questions or Concerns tab. This is a different discussion board. The assignment that I've given you for today, just to go back to where we were a second ago, notice it's due at the end of the day, by midnight, before midnight. Okay? So that wraps up Tuesday. Tomorrow I'll be going over some additional information that'll help with your understanding of grading and what I mean by academic process, and we'll be a step closer to getting into the actual material, the readings. So, as always, be safe out there. Be careful. See you tomorrow.